Neoklis Avdalas might just be the most unique prospect in the transfer portal. He was disappointing last year at Virginia Tech, but despite that, he's still listed as a top 3 transfer portal entrant so far by virtually every service. Today, our goal is to look at the film, talk about the traits that make that possible. How is a guy who is disappointing still so highly regarded? So stick around, we're going to get into the film.
Guard-like skills, and he's super athletic for that size.
And as if on cue.
Now, before we get into the actual film, just a quick primer on Neo. Virginia Tech invested heavily in him last year, and they gave him the keys to this team. And by all accounts, he underperformed. Fans were unhappy. A lot of people said it was a failed experiment. But I'm here to tell you, when we start looking at what he does really well, it's not hard to see why he's so highly regarded. He's a 6'9" guard who can create for himself, can create for others, and I think has some upside as a shooter down the road. So with those 3 aspects, you don't see that very often with his blend of skill and size. So let's just start watching the film. We're going to start off with his ability to create his own offense, which is in high demand in NCAA basketball right now. So last season at Virginia Tech, Neoklis spent so much time with the ball in his hands. And as you'll see in these clip packages, he's really crafty when he's coming off of a screen. Now, he can go a couple different directions. He's really good at attacking the rim. You know, if there's any kind of drop coverage, like he can get through a gap, get to the rim and finish really well. You know, if there's an option for him to step back, like if you cheat underneath the screen, he's crafty enough with the ball to create a ton of space, given how long of an athlete that he is. And then lastly, like once he gets to the rim, there's a lot of versatility to his game. I think he uses his length and has a nice layup package where he's able to, you know, both finish over taller defenders, get around them with his length if he needs to, or, you know, if he has a clear lane to the basket, he's athletic enough to where he can rise up and finish above people at the rim and throw one down. So I think that's all really positive. He showed a lot of promise as a shooter off of screens as well. So, you know, a guy his size being 6'9", you don't find many of them that are this competent with the ball in their hands. And it makes your team tougher to guard if you consider that you have high major guards to surround him with. So this is a huge positive for his game. So I know at this point you're probably thinking, okay, cool. He's a guy who got a ton of shots up a game. You pulled some highlights. That's great. How does that make him such a highly regarded player? Why does that justify that? And this next part, I think, is really going to start cementing people's opinions of him. You look at his ability to create offense for others. Simply put, there's just so much to love about this aspect of his game. You talk about the value of a guard who can get paint touches and command an offense. You know, and that's already very immense. And then you pair that with the fact that he's 6'9" and has the body type of a, you know, prototypical forward. Now, he excels at 1, getting paint touches and finding guys that are open. 2, he's really well versed at reading screens, hitting guys as they're coming off, hitting guys on slips and short rolls. You know, I think you're confident in his ability to do that. Like, he led Virginia Tech in assists last year, had over 130 assists. You know, I think as a ball mover, he seems willing. He's patient. He plays off of 2 feet really well. You know, once guys get to the paint, something you'll see a lot of times at the college level, you know, guys still aren't comfortable of getting there, getting to a stop and assessing their options from there. And from what I've seen on film of him, that's definitely a strength. He has an innate ability to read the weak side of the court as he's driving in, because given the caliber of player that he is, he's going to just garner so much attention. So, you know, I think as you talk about him maybe taking a step up and going to more of a contender next year, this is just something that you should be drooling over, because he's going to make everyone around him better with his ability to pass. And now this next area is what gets me super excited about Neo as a prospect. So it would be him and his ability to play off the ball. We've seen that with the ball in his hands, he can do some things. But I think when you start going up a level and getting into seriously competitive high major basketball, where the expectation is to make deep runs into the tournament, you need to be able to fit into a grander offense. It can't just be the ball in your hand every time. And there's evidence of that at Virginia Tech last year, where I think, you know, he can be an effective spot up shooter on the wing that has positional length, that can shoot over top of people. But let's get into the film and see it in action. Now, to be clear, this isn't something he did a lot of last year, and he wasn't particularly good at it. But he was a better shooter when he was operating in a spot up, catch and shoot capacity than he was when he was creating his own. But what I like to see, and as I break down guys and their off ball movement, is he moves and reacts to what's going on in the offense really well. What the problem is, a lot of times you'll see guys standing around and not relocating or finding open spots, and that's not a problem for him. He reads the offense well. He moves and reacts to it and gets himself open shots. Now, again, when you pair him with more high major players, this is something that's going to be much easier for him because he's going to have more opportunities to do it. So I just think it's an area of growth for him. All right, so let's move on to my final thoughts on Neoklis Avdalas. I don't put a ton of stock into last year. Like, that's a weird situation. A kid coming from Greece, professional basketball, to playing at Virginia Tech, surrounded by, probably C plus level high major talent. I think I can give him a pass for a lot of what I saw, mainly just because of all the highlights of all the high end activity he was able to put out there, right? I think that when you start surrounding him with a higher caliber player, you'll start to see some of those highs more than you saw the lows. Now, some things that he's going to have to do to really be a contributor is he's going to have to become more efficient, both creating his own shot as well as shooting from deep. That's something that needs to be a part of his game. And I think we didn't show highlights of this, but he did show some positional versatility on defense as well last year. Had a good amount of steals, a decent amount of blocks, and I think that's something that you'll want to see him expand as he continues to go up a level of competition. So what are some ideal landing spots, I think, for him? You look at a team like a Nebraska, or you look at a team like an Iowa. I think a team that has a somewhat structured offense that really follow European principles in a lot of ways, like that's going to fit his game really well. It's what he's very comfortable with and what he came from. It's what he's used to. I think even if you put him in like a Kentucky, for instance, like Mark Pope's offense would be great for him. Would allow him to work with some other Euro bigs who are still there, and also like the ball movement aspects of that offense and the spacing that it provides is paramount. I think when you get him into an unstructured situation and guys don't know how to play that as well, that's where he's trying to force things a little too much. But I'm curious as to everyone's thoughts. Where do you think Neoklis Avdalas ends up? Virginia Tech fans, please let me know what you thought. I know you want to express your disappointment in the comments. But again, I do these transfer portal breakdowns all through the portal. It hadn't even opened yet, and we're already started. We're going to keep on trucking through this. Make sure you're subscribed to see all the best transfer portal prospects and breakdowns of their game. I sincerely hope to see you all in the next one. Have a good one.